Okay, and here on Uber Rock, I'm here with Scott Soto.
Easy for you to say.
How are you?
Doing great.
And the reason why we're here today, you've got a new album coming out on March 23rd on Frontier's label, Damage Control.
That's it, yeah.
And, tell us a little bit more about this album. It's like your 6th solo album.
Yeah, it's the 5th one. Yeah, and it's I titled it Damage Control because the last album is called Beautiful Mess, and for me it was a beautiful mess, but for most of my fans it was just a mess. So Damage Control is kind of the album to kind of fix the mess, and I kind of, it's more tongue-in-cheek that I'm using that as the reference. Yeah. But Damage Control is anything that you want to make it in any respect in life that you have to kind of clean up a mess. You always have to kind of pull damage control. So there were a lot of songs, a lot of lyrical ideas that actually kind of coined that term, and that's why I call it Damage Control. And
tell us who's playing on the album with you.
Oh, you got
there's a long list.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to just have one set band or one set lineup of people, especially because I went to a lot of different people for the actual co-writing side of things, and when I went with those people, they're so good at what they do aside of actually writing the songs. I wanted them to appear on the songs, but I kind of used the producer role more so on this album than I have in the past, more like a casting director. There are certain people I wanted to work with, and I thought this person would play great drums on that one, and I kind of mixed and matched people that I normally work with or even wanted to work with on certain songs that I thought they would be really good at.
And obviously, you're a very busy guy, you know, all year round. You never seem to stop.
If you only knew.
So how long did the album take you to record? Or obviously you must have recorded it here, there and everywhere in many ways.
Actually, it was recorded in 3 continents. It was recorded in Europe, recorded in South America and North America. Because there are different people from different sides of the world that were recording on it, it had to be done in different places, and for the most part they were doing their tracks and sending them to me where I was based here centrally in London while I was doing all the vocals. So I would get all the tracks from everybody involved, and again, there's so many people involved on this album. It's difficult to actually just answer in one question. And
was it a difficult process to choose what songs went on the album?
It wasn't difficult at all. What was difficult is trimming them down. I had about 20 songs overall that I really loved, but 14 that I was married to. Yeah. And there's a difference in that. And if I had to cut a single one that didn't end up on the deluxe edition of the album, I would have been devastated. So luckily, Frontiers worked with me in the respect of releasing a Digipack special edition, which is kind of the director's cut, so to speak. And that's basically every song that I wanted to release on this. And then they have a standard 11-song edition, which I strongly urge you to buy the 14-song one. It's worth the extra quid or two.
And you're sort of thrown in the AOR melody rock sort of circuit, but it's also quite a hard rock album as well in many ways, isn't it?
Absolutely, especially, like I said, the extended version of the album has, it kind of balances the musical end of things. It's the 11-song version sounds more like it's all suited to one album, where the 14-song version, it's got more of a mixture of things, from heavy to everything's very melodic on it, but there are much heavier sides on the bonus tracks than there are on the standard edition. Yeah.
And I believe you shot a promotional video for one song.
3.
You actually shot 3 promotional videos already?
We did 3 videos, yeah. Again, that's going on the deluxe edition, and the reason why it's the deluxe edition because I want to pack it with
as many extras as possible. Really, we really shot 3 promotional videos already.
And you know,
normally that's like a year down the line. Things happen.
Well, I mean, with technology today, you're not doing the same kind of budgets and the same kind of videos that you were doing back in the 80s and 90s, or they're even still doing today on the ones that actually get aired.
So there's no Tony Kitten in this one.
Well, bottom line is I'm doing things to kind of put a little visual behind the actual audio, and we're not recreating the wheel here. We're not coming up with something that we're hoping to get played on MTV. It's just basically something to kind of stimulate the senses when you're listening to the music, and give you a little more incentive to buy, again, the bonus version, which I think has songs that are very important and need to be heard.
And what are your personal favourites on the album?
All 14. No, I have different favorites for different reasons. There's a song on one of the bonus tracks, a song called "Afraid to Die" that I wrote. It's not dedicated to my old partner Marcel Jacob from Talisman. It's more of an anti-suicide song. It's more about when somebody gets to that point where they feel like life isn't worth it anymore, I'm hoping this gives, if this even saves one person from thinking they have to go down that path, that's what this song is about. But it also captured a few moments and elements of what I went through in finding out that I lost my friend to this this way of losing somebody in life.
Not that it hits you in a certain way, it does make you think about your own.
Absolutely, there's some emotional things I actually captured on there when I listened to it. Actually, it kind of it shreds me inside. It's still a very touchy subject for me. It's only 2 years or 2.5 years since he took his life.
When it comes to performing live, would that be a song be easy for you to sing live, or would you attempt to sing it live?
Absolutely, because again, this is something I would try to use as a tool, as a vehicle to
in a positive way. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, good. And I just mentioned just now, you've got loads of guests on the album. One of them is Dave Meniketti from Y&T.
Yep, he came in on the 11th hour. We were actually mixing the album, and it was that I got Mike Vanderheel, who was the drummer from Y&T, to play on the particular track Bonafide. He was saying, Jeff, I want to be on this album, I want to be on this album, and there was only one track that was left that I hadn't assigned to a drummer. And I said, if you want to do this one, great. And he loved the song. He gave me the tracks. He goes, hey, what do you think about getting Dave playing the solo? And I go, well, I've already got the solo. Everything was done on the track. It was literally waiting for his drums so I could get it mixed.
He's a formidable guitarist as well,
but it was a dream to actually to finally, or to hopefully someday work with Dave. And it was the 11th hour. I said, Dave, would you be interested in doing this track? And he said, of course. What do you need? When do you need it? Now. So luckily he had the time, and I didn't get the typical diva rock star excuses. Oh, I'm busy. Oh, I'm tired. I'm sick. I've got this next week, and I'm doing it. No, he said, if you need it, I'm done. I'll do it. And so I got him on a track. It's fantastic.
Well, obviously, you guested him recently in London, didn't you? It's in the Academy.
Every time those guys play somewhere, I'm even near. If I'm remotely in the 200-mile radius, I'm on stage with them.
That's great. Cause I've been around for many, many years, but it's like now they're really getting the recognition they rightly deserve with the AOR fans, hard rock fans of Y&T.
I hope so. It's well, that band's been around. I mean, they were one of my favorite bands when I was still in high school, and to actually be on a regular basis of communication with them and hanging out with them is it's always a dream when you're growing up and you're thinking someday I want to be a rock star. Part of that is actually being able to be friends and friendly with a lot of the people that you were influenced by and that that are still influenced by. And so it's an absolute pleasure, especially those guys, the nicest guys in the world. And they always say nice guys, come last, and not with those guys. Those guys, they're really good guys, great musicians, great band, and still going after all these years.
Excellent. And obviously, for every album, next thing the fans want is a tour. Can we expect to see some live dates from you?
Yes, indeed.
Can you fit it in your little diary?
I've got another commitment that I'm actually currently going to be doing first, but I thought initially we were going to put the Damage Control thing on the road about a week or two after the album was out, and I put a stop to that because I thought it would be actually better for people to actually to live with the album.
Yeah, get the songs in the heads.
Because I would really want them to know the songs that we're doing live, as opposed to a couple weeks after the album's release and they're just kind of learning the songs.
Yeah.
They might not look forward to them as much as they would 6-7 months down the line. And I recognize that with the Wet album, for instance, because the first Wet show we ever did was almost 2 years after the album came out. And at Firefest, every song we played, they knew. They got excited right as we were starting the song. So it doesn't hurt to kind of wait. For bands that are already in the stratosphere, they can release an album and the next day everybody will know every word. I don't have that luxury, so I think it's better for me to wait a little bit.
We just mentioned back when at Firefest, and you jumped in there right at the last minute because Robert pulled out. In many ways, you saved the day, and that was Firefest for you.
It was fantastic, and that was one of the reasons why I talked the guys into doing. I mean, they've been wanting to play live for the longest time, but we're all just so scattered and busy with our respective band. Work of Art had a new album. Eclipse was in the middle of recording their album. I was doing one of the trillion things that I do. But it was one of those things I said, guys, I think we can do this, and if we can pull this off and we actually sound as good as people expect us to sound, we're going to be the heroes of the day. I mean, God bless Warrant, and for whatever reason they had to pull out, I think this was the perfect place for us to actually step in and kind of make people say, you know what, thank goodness Born pulled up, because we would have never seen this gig.
Oh, I think it pleased many fans actually. And was there pre-show nerves before that gig?
One of the first gigs that I've been actually nervous from top to bottom, because I've already explained this when asked this question. I've done many a gig where I've you know, you're nervous, you have this nervous energy, and you're going on stage and such. But with these guys, I've never done one single appearance, one single gig before. We had 2 rehearsals before we actually did that show. I flew up to Sweden. We rehearsed for 2 days. I didn't have any real chemistry with them as a band. Only working on the album and doing the videos and such. That was the closest thing. And chemistry is so important if you want to make people, if you want to show people that something is real. Otherwise, it just looks like you're jamming. And thankfully, we pulled it off, and we made people feel and seem like, even we felt like we've been together for much longer than we actually were.
And I've just mentioned like Damage Control is like the 5th solo album, but you've actually appeared on like 60 odd albums over the years, in one form or another.
Busy boy.
And what do you feel more comfortable in, as a solo artist or in a band? What are you happiest at?
I find joys in both of them that you can't really replace one with the other. The solo thing gives me the flexibility and the freedom to kind of tap into the things that I want to do without any kind of expectation, so to speak.
Yeah.
And of course, people expect you to do. They want you to hear. They want to hear Talisman. They want to hear Steel Dragon. They want to hear certain things throughout your career. But there's no expectation that I have to live up to. Say, for instance, Talisman was a band that everybody was shredders, and you have to live up to, certain albums, certain vibe. Everything has their own little thing. But also, being in a band, you have an anchor. You have a shoulder to lean on you. If you're not feeling it vocally, if you're feeling a bit tired or sick or whatever, you can rely on others in the band that can be focal points that can still keep the audience entertained. As a solo artist, you have all that weight on your shoulders. Yeah. If you're down, if you're not happy, you're not feeling it, everybody's eyeball's still on you.
You're the one who's got to pay the wages the other day.
So, again, like I said, they both have their pluses and minuses. Yeah. You have having that anchor is always something that you look towards, you need at times, but also the flexibility to go into a Talisman rehearsal and say, guys, I think I want to do a Prince song tonight. What do you think? And they'll go. So I can do that in my solo career. I can say I want to do a Mamas and Papas song, and nobody's going to question it because it's my solo career.
And you've got quite diverse influences, and even your talents, it ranges from metal to rock, funk and disco kind of thing. And so when you're going out on a Friday night out, what do you sort of dance to in front of the mirror before you
dance?
Yeah, when you're getting ready, you got the old medallion, the old aftershave goes on.
Do that again?
That's what I do anyway. What gives you the mood for a good night out?
And we were just before we started this, you overheard us talking about that. I'm always working on something new, always working on something after the last thing I'm working on, so much that I don't really get to do any of that to anybody else's music, but the stuff that I'm working on. So I'm more or less concentrating on whatever I'm working on at the moment, or what I'm about to work on, more than I'm actually able to listen to new music or even listen to some of my old favorites. So
what's inspired you over the years?
The fact that I do this for a living, and the fact that I can actually continue doing this for a living. Right. That to me is the most inspiration that I can get from anybody, is the fact that this is a dream come true.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't need inspiration from anybody else or any other musicians or any other artists.
What about influences?
Influences, that's an easy one. I mean, I've said it through the years. I'm influenced from everything from the Motown, Sam Cooke, and all that stuff growing up from the '60s. All that, a lot of great black soul music that I grew up with, and then of course when I got into hard rock and heavy metal in the late '70s and early '80s, all those things just kind of formed the diverse side of who I've always strived to be. Queen would be the ultimate band for me because they were the ones that were the jack of all trades and also masters of them. Yeah. There aren't too many bands that could actually master all the different trades. You can't,
like yourselves in many ways, because they could do disco and funk.
Exactly, and that's one of the reasons why they to me were they were the kind of ones that set the mold. Yeah. And they broke the mold, because there aren't too many bands that can say, we're going to do an opera song, and then next album we're going to do a disco song, and then next one we're going to do a hard rock song. It's
you can do it conviction, and
they do it so well. Yeah, and so I've always strived to be that kind of artist. I've always strived to be in situations where I can show all the feathers of the peacock, as opposed to just a few of them.
And did you ever see Queen live?
Unfortunately not. That's one of my biggest regrets. I was actually having a conversation with Brian May about that. I've seen them with Paul Rogers, and of course I've done a few little jaunts with them here and there. But one of my biggest regrets in life is I never got to see Freddie live.
It's a shame that. I'm going to make you jealous now. I saw him at Nebworth for '86. At the time we didn't know it, but it was a very nice concert.
Where were you? Like
a
little exactly. dot. I've seen pictures of that gig. Unless you were in the front row, you saw nothing.
There was like 100,000 people there that day, but Freddie was the king. He could hold your attention. That's the thing about him. He was the king.
Another amazing influence. I mean, that's what you strive for. That's what that was the foundation, the basis of what you actually want to be. You want to be the guy that is able to bring the last person, the 340,000 person in the back of the
you want the usher saying nice Queen speech.
Exactly. You want to be able to draw everybody in, and that's a difficult thing to be able to do. There's so many that don't live up to that the live aspect of who they are and what you think they are.
And late last year, you sort of toured with Trans-Siberian.
Yeah. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, yeah. And
what was that like? You know, because that's quite a different kind of gig in many ways as well.
Absolutely. That's a whole different animal altogether. It's something that I'm just part of the running mechanisms of the machine, as opposed to
part of the cast in many ways.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm one of many aspects of what makes that whole thing roll, and it's a chance for me to go out and tour arenas and tour to do the bigger side of things without having to worry so much about where my role lies in it. And that's one of the reasons I love doing it, aside from the fact that I love the people that I work with in it. And Al Petrelli's been a longtime friend of mine, and it's just a dream to be a part of that. You know, as a side kind of sidebar. It's
phenomenally massive in the States.
It's massive. Yeah, it's fantastic. Unfortunately, I had to bow out this year. They're doing another spring tour, and I've got Damage Control to support. So
important.
Yeah, some things. Sometimes you got you got to turn down some of the good things in life, but I'm sure they'll do fine without me.
And there's also that period that we was in Journey, which many months must have been a dream come true.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Is that a sour taste in your mouth? When or not? Or was that? Have you got positives from that?
I always take the positive out of any negative. I mean, it's one of those things where when somebody asks you if you have any regrets in life, and I always say no, because without mistakes, without the things that you actually said yes to, or the things that you went and did and failed at, or that were bad experiences, you wouldn't have known that they were going to be bad or good if you didn't do them. So you learn from everything, whether they're good or bad, and the bad experiences you actually learn more from. So I have only
it must have been a fantastic learning curve.
Absolutely.
Even at your height, but you're always learning, aren't you?
It was a dream come true in many respects. For the most part, I didn't like the way it ended, but I still have amazing memories. I met a lot of great people. I got to sing to great audiences and all those great songs. So
they also made many new fans as well in many ways.
Well, that's obviously a positive, but for the most part, I just take everything I got out of that and I look at it as something.
Are you still on talking terms with the ex-members of Journey?
Unfortunately not.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it's. I mean, again, it's not how I chose for it to go out. But
you went separate ways. Well,
oh, you didn't. Wah wah wah.
And have you had any other offers over the years that we're not so wary of? You know, has anybody big sort of offered you, can you come and join our band? But you've been too busy.
Yeah, I mean, they still come in, and there's. I don't want to be a replacement singer. I don't want to be an artist who just steps into somebody else's shoes that was already established.
Yeah.
I mean, there are very few bands that I would ever consider, and there are only 3 actually, and I've already done one of them.
Yeah.
And the other 2 would be Queen and Van Halen.
Yeah.
Not that I'm striving to be the singer for Queen or striving to be the singer of Van Halen. I want to have my own career. I want to have my own legs and my own. I want people to know me for me. But there are these childhood dreams that you have these
something like that you can't say no.
Exactly. and those are the other 2 that I would. And Journey, when I was asked to do it, it was a no-brainer. I dove into 100%, 1,000% to the point where I was willing to let everything.
Oh, I've done it yourself, but I'm not even good enough to sing in a covers band in a pub for Journey. Good on you for doing it. And so, yeah, Damage Control's coming out 23rd of March.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic talking to you. I'm really looking forward to seeing a tour.
I plan on bringing it back to the UK. It's been a while since I've done some solo shows out here, so I'm really looking forward to it. I think I think people are going to really chomp on this album. I think this is going to be the one they've been waiting
And I've heard the album, and it's up there. It's good.
Awesome.
It's one of the best pieces of work you've done so far.
Awesome.
So
Thank you.
There could be plenty more of that coming in the future.
Cheers.
Thanks very much. All the best, Jeff.
All right.
Thanks very much. Cheers. Thank you.